Hello, how are you doing today? This is another episode of Natural is Elf, and I'm your host, Ferrante Frazier. We have an excellent show today to help those people who are suffering with eye issues, and we also going to be talking about high blood sugar, which some people can have eye issues from having high blood sugar. The body is so connected. A lot of people think that when they start suffering disease, that these diseases are separate entities. But in reality, you know, our body is connected all together. So all our issues are the result of just a toxic bloodstream, innervated body, and our body just start crying out in these different forms. Somebody going to cry out through the lungs. Somebody going to cry out through the brain. Whatever organ that you have been doing extra damage to in your lifestyle, like if you've been using drugs, if you've been drinking, if you've been overeating, you're going to start developing issues in the organs that deal with the drugs, or deal, or get the irritation from the alcohol, or get the irritation from the excess of food that you're eating. So those organs would be the one. Like I said, we have an exciting show. We want to thank the ATR Black Media for allowing us to do our show on this platform to get our philosophies and concepts out to a mass audience where people can know that's what's really relevant in their health, and not just reaching for a pill bottle, not just running to the emergency room. We can take the responsibility in having health by changing some of our habits and modifying our environmental conditions, clean it up, and we'll thrive. We don't have to sit here and just be illness or just surviving. We actually can thrive as human beings, um, if we can just learn, become aware of what it takes to be healthy, and then exercise that. We call that, applied natural hygiene, when you actually apply the teachings of natural hygiene, which is those 10 principles that we're always teaching in our shows. Um, we want to thank all the people who've been following our show. We also want to thank all our guests who've been coming on our shows. And we have some very good shows coming up here in the future, because we're going to revisit the young man who's doing the lose 20 and 30 pounds. We're going to see if he lost the 20 pounds in 30 days. And we would love to hear those who have followed that program to see how much you lost in the 30 days. So make sure you comment in our shows, leave comments about the things that you applied in your life from what we teach and what it did for you. Um, we also got a young lady. We're going to be doing another show on fasting, how fasting can save your life, especially when you have a supervisor to supervise that fast for you. And there's many fast supervisors. There are even retreats that you can go to be able to do your fast in you'll say a comfortable setting around people who know all about fasting, who can help guide you along the route of fasting. Do you think you can do the 40 days like Jesus? Can you think you can do more than 40 days? All right. Do you only think you can do 3 days? Whatever it takes to build a momentum toward health, it would be ideal. But fasting plays a real good part into the health seekers' lifestyle change to promote health. We can't just sit in there just glutting ourselves day in and day out, thinking that we're going to be healthy. It's not going to happen. We have to give rest to even that organ. Every other organ and tissue of the body have to go, take a break. You know, the stomach needs a break too. Some of us don't. We work that stomach round the clock. We have it on overtime. We even have it in double time. Holiday, working on holidays and all. That's when we definitely put that boy to work. So it don't get a chance to rest. and it starts breaking down. But those are shows that we're going to have in the future where we're going to bring on some people who we've supervised in their fast, where you can hear more about it. Do you think we have individuals that we supervise who fasted for 40 days? Do you think a person can actually go 40 days, or is that Jesus thing a myth? Is that like this far fetched to do 40 days of fasting, and would you die from 40 days of fasting? Because some people think that they'll die if they go one day without eating. So they tend to call that starvation. But we're gonna have shows on that. We're gonna bring individuals up there who have instituted a fast and talk about the benefits and talk about some of the obstacles that they had during the fast, some things that you know those who want to fast can look out for, or give them courage to push past those obstacles and don't let them deter you or knock you off the journey that you're doing. But let's go into our topics today. If you got a paper and a pen, this is be something really great. If you don't, you can always go to All Things Relevant Black Media on Facebook, hit like and share, and follow them, and make sure that you can go in and watch these videos over and over and over again. Because this show is going to teach you how to really help with those muscles around your eyes, strengthen those muscles. A lot of us have problems with vision because the muscles around our eyes that helps us contract and retract, like it's like a focus where it pull on that lens. Those muscles, they pull on the lens, like how you do in a camera where it's like a focus where it zoom in and zoom out. Well, for your eyes to be able to do that, it's six muscles called ciliary muscles that are interwoven. They're like interwoven, they're wrapped around each other. And those muscles, they pull on the curvature lens of the eyes to allow you to zoom in and to zoom out. Right? Over a period of time, those muscles, they become weak. We don't really use them, we don't exercise them, anything like that. We use it, but we don't really, work them properly. And they tend to weaken, and so we start having focusing problems. We go to turn and it's fuzzy when we're trying to look at something. Now we go to look at something close and it's fuzzy. We go to look at something far off and it's fuzzy because we don't have this accommodation. In science, they call it accommodation. To be able to, focus in and out. Now, a lot is not just with the exercising, because the eyeballs is a part of the bloodstream. Well, it gets its food and its nutrients from the bloodstream, just like all other organs and tissue. So, to correct any health issue that we suffer from, it must start off with healthy lifestyle habits such as eating. Eating is going to be something that is going to be proper for it, because how can you restore and regenerate an eyeball if it don't have the right structure, if it don't have the right nutrients and minerals to restructure this eyeball, or the muscles around the eyeball? Those same muscles around the eyeball are the same muscles that are like in our arm, that's in our leg, that's in our chest, and they require proper foods in which to regenerate and repair themselves as well. Well, so does the eyeball. So behind every disease and correcting it, we must first start off with eating a wholesome diet of fresh fruits and vegetables. And dealing with our sight and stuff like that, a lot of the red vegetables would be very ideal to put into your diet, your habit of eating. After we look at the diet, because that's the materials that's going to rebuild the body. So we got to make sure we have the right material. But Another big thing in correcting our eyesight issues is to give rest to the eyeballs. You want your eyeballs to work properly? Do you want your vision to come out properly where you don't have to wear glasses, you don't have to wear contacts, anything like that? Then you need to give them a rest. Stop using them. If you want them to get a chance to repair, they can't repair while you steady seeing everything. You got to have your eyeballs open for everything. Like you're walking around here on crack, just looking everywhere. You need to give them a rest. Stop overworking them. Now, the best way to give them rest is to go to sleep. You get plenty of rest when you're sleeping. But a lot of us, we don't get adequate amounts of sleep. Also, there's this thing called palming. Like if you're out and about and it's during the daytime, because see, your eyes is going to get the best rest when it's dark, when there's no light coming into it. And you want to do this thing palming. Palming is a thing where you make a cup out of your hand. See, I got it closed all the way around. It's even closed in this area right here. So you you do a palming effect. See how the palm of my hands right there is nothing can get in there, and I'm just going to put it over my eyes. All right. I'm not squeezing the eyes. I'm not actually even touching the eyes. But how I got it, all I see is pitch dark. But the palm part doesn't allow you to put any pressure on the eyeballs. You're just going around like you're sealing it off where you're not letting any light in. It's just pitch dark. So when you're out and about or anything like that, give your eyeballs a rest by just doing a simple exercise of palming. All right, it's called palming. You're out in the street. You're out, you know, in the office. Just take a second, 5 minutes every hour, and just do a palming. Just give rest to the eyes. If you can see any light coming through there, you don't have your hands closed enough. You don't have it's not you're not doing it right. All right, you want to make sure that there's nothing coming, no light coming in, but you're not putting any pressure on the eyes. You're just making a cup, a palming, and you just put it over, and you just make sure no light is in there. Excellent. I go right to it every time, but I've been doing it for quite a while. And that's a good way of giving rest to your eyeballs. Another good way to help restore, better sight to yourself is called sun gazing. Sun gazing is where you go out and actually look at the sun. Now, you listen to some people, they're going to tell you, you better not look at that sun. The sun's going to blind you. You know, if you go out there, you ain't been out there in the sun in about a year or two, and you go out there at 12, 1 o'clock, and you go staring at the sun, yes, you're going to damage your eyes. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But what we tell individuals, you cannot strengthen your eyes without the sun. But there's a right way to build a momentum of healing by using the sun. We prefer individuals to start off watching the sun rise and watching the sun set. So that means going into the sun early in the morning, going outside and looking at the sun as it's just coming out, as it's new as I don't know what, coming off the horizon. And we don't even want you, when you're starting off for the first time, we don't actually want you with your eyelids open. We want your eyelids closed. So you're going to go out there and look at the sun with your eyelids closed. All right. See my eyelids, they're closed. And you're just going to stare at the sun with your eyelids closed. And you're going to do that for like 10, 15 minutes a day for the first week. And then the second week, you do it for 30 minutes. And then the third week, you can start opening your eyes and actually looking at the sun straight up Only early in the morning. Now, don't go out there after 9 o'clock staring at no sun. You don't do that until you build up a tolerance for it. Eventually, you can get to where you can look dead at the sun 1 o'clock with no problem, not even budging. But you got to build up to that. It takes practice, and at the same time, it takes conditioning. You got to condition the eyes to be able to look upon the sun around about 12 or 1 o'clock. And when you're able to do that, I promise you're going to be seeing really good. That's going to let you know that you're going to be. Matter of fact, if you can't stand sunlight now, that let you know that you have issues with your eye. But just be able to stand that sun, meaning that you have good sun vision. So sun gazing is another way. You don't have to just do it in the morning. You can do it as the sun going down. See, you don't want to do it when the sun is right over the earth, around 12 and 3, between like 10 and 3 o'clock. That's not a good time to be out there sun gazing. The sun is too high and it's too hot, and it can damage your eyes unless you condition yourself to be able to um, tolerate that sun. Now, we also got to make sure that we're clean. It kind of put me in the mind, cleanliness is a big thing too. You got to make sure that you're only washing the eyes with clean water. We can't be using chemicals, solvents, and other stuff into our eyes. They damage the delicate lining of our eyes and our eyeballs, and it dries up our eyes from being able to um, um, you say produce tears and stuff like that. All right, to be able to produce tears. Now, also, like I said, we do not want to use any type of solvents. You don't want to use any type of solvents in your in those solutions inside of your eyes. Those things, they damage the eyes. And another thing, I'm gonna tell you this as well. There's no correcting our eyesight while we continuously wear glasses and wear contact lenses. If we're constantly using those things, our eyes cannot correct itself, in other words. Because okay, let's say that you got a set of glasses on, and your eyes are going to constantly adapt to that strength of whatever the glass. Actually, it's going to get worse. It's just going to keep getting worse. That's why you have to, when you're wearing glasses, you have to keep going back to your doctor, getting a stronger strength of glasses, because they are not correcting. They're actually making your eyes worse. So these corrective lenses are not actually correcting anything. They're actually um, causing more harm to your eyeballs. Simple fact. You're going out there into the sun. While you're out there in the sun with, you talking about causing damage to your eyes. You're out there in the sun with glasses on. That's like you walking around with a magnifying glass, burning ants and putting the magnifying glass on stuff, and it creates heat and cause damage to whatever that sun is beaming through on that magnifying glass. So these eyeglasses are magnifying glasses, right? All right. So when the sun is beaming through those things, they're doing damage, to your eyeballs, causing hardening on your eyeballs and damage because you're wearing these glasses out there in the sun. But if you notice, I know my mama used to tell me this all the time. She, if we was to go and pick up somebody's glasses, we were playing with our granddaddy glasses or our grandma glasses, you better boy, you better put them things down. You're gonna go blind wearing those things. And it's sure enough, when we used to put those things on, we couldn't see at all, right? We could not see at first, but eventually our eyes started adjusting where we can see a little bit better through those glasses. And then when we took them off, it was rough for us to see until our eyes adjusted back to seeing normally. So those glasses causes your eyes to have to adjust to the strength of those and keep getting weaker. So there's no correction while you keep your glasses on. All right. Now, last but not least, remember, okay, we said get rest. Well, we got to eat properly, and we got to get rest, and we got to do the palming exercises, and we got to keep cleanliness, and we got to discard the crutches. We call the eyeglasses crutches. Get those crutches off your eyes, and allow your eyes to stand up on their own two eyes. You know. But last but not least, we got these eye exercises that it'd be ideal for you to do every day. All right. We're gonna start off with I'm gonna get this pen. All right. Look at the tip of this pen right here. All right. Now I want you to keep your head straight. All you who are looking right now, just keep your head straight and just follow the pen. All right. With your eyeball. And then come down. Up and come down. So you're only following, you're not moving your head, you're moving your eyeball at the top of this pen. And notice what I did. I did an X. I went up and then down. I just did an X. X, boom. All right. So you just following it. You keep doing the X. Keep doing the X. You don't have to go as fast as I was just going. I was just going fast to show this to you. But you're just going to keep doing the X. Mm. All right. After X, you're going to do an O. And you're just going to follow it without moving your hand. Without moving your head. You're going to just follow it round and round. All right. So you working those muscles by you going all the way up, and then you coming all the way down, all the way up, and then coming all the way down. You're going to feel those muscles as you do these exercises. I know it say like, you mean to tell me that that's gonna fix my problem? No, that's just simple. X, X, and O and O. I guarantee you, if you constantly keep doing these exercises on a daily basis and be religiously doing them, you're gonna see your eye vision restore itself tremendously. You're gonna see a difference in about a week or two that you haven't seen in God. I mean, literally, and pun intended, you're gonna see a difference. All right. So you got the X and you got the O. All right. Then you want to do something like look at the tip of your nose. Like if you don't know what I'm talking about, just get a pen and follow that pen all the way to your nose. Let the pen touch your nose while you're still trying to look at the pen. All right. And then bring it out. Then bring it in. And take it out. And then bring it in. All the while you keeping your eyeballs on the tip of this pen. All right. So you taking it out and you still looking at it. And then you bring it in. As you bringing it in, you still looking at it. All right. So it's going to look like you cross-eyed. All right. That's going to help with strengthening those muscles. All right. The next, what you want to do is actually 7 of the exercises. I'm going to give you 4 of the main ones that's going to help you that you shouldn't forget. That's the X, that's the O, and that's bring it to the nose. And the other thing is you're just going to hold the pen out and you're going to look at the tip of that pen. And then you're going to look at something far off. It might be, a little distance. Like I used to have it when I'm outside doing my sun gazing and sunbathing, I would have a pen in my hand and I would look at that pen and then I would look at a stop sign down the street. And then I'll look at the pen again, then I'll look at the stop sign. This helps with focusing because I'm training my eyes to look close and then look far off. All right. Just got to keep training. It's just like exercising any other muscle. Take it to the gym and it gets stronger. I'm showing you an easy way to take your eyeballs to the gym. All right. And this is what we use, and it works tremendously. All right. So just to recap again, the best way to get your eyes back working and back operating properly, stop back eating properly, get rest, do the palming exercise we taught you, get plenty of sleep, um, keep clean. Don't use any poisons in your eyes, no chemicals, anything like that. Stop with all that soap falling in your eyes and shampoos and stuff like that, and chemicals of all kind of natures. Keep them out of your eyes, and do your eye exercises. All right. So I definitely want you to share with me your experience with these exercises. If you're having problems with your eyes, throw away the crutches and follow these techniques and tips that we're telling you, and you let us know um, in a future show how well it worked for you. We're going to go on to the next subject because we're going to be wrapping up here soon. We have talked about this subject a lot, but most of the people in our community are suffering from this. And no matter how much we talk about it, they still asking, how can we get rid of this? But we're telling you how to get rid of it. But we can tell you all day long, but you have to apply the information. I can tell you how to get muscles, but until you go to the gym and work those muscles and get them swole, me telling it to you ain't gonna do nothing. So all I'm here is just a bunch of information for you. My information is just to bring awareness to what would be the most ideal approach to getting you to your optimum level of health. But at the end of the day, it's going to take for you to hear me and then receive what I'm saying and then put it into action. Once you do that, then you'll start seeing the desired changes in your life, in your health, in your well-being. So high blood sugar is what, a lot of people in our community is suffering with. If it's not high blood sugar, it's high blood pressure. If it's not high blood pressure, it's the high cholesterol. So it's high something, you know. Those are the trinity of sicknesses. High blood pressure. You go to the doctor. If you got one of them, you're pretty much going to have the other two following soon if they ain't already present. But this high blood sugar is something that we know is definitely in the black community. Now, why is it in the black community so prevalent? And we also see it in the white community who tend to live like blacks. So it obviously is some type of miseducation in the black community that's creating a dilemma, a pandemic. You want to talk about a pandemic? It's the pandemic. But this pandemic is only in the African American communities and those white communities that live like African American. So it's something in our habits or in our environment that's producing it. And if we look at the culprit, we can look at our diets. Our diets tend to be different. How they said, man, I cook that soul food. You know, white folks don't cook the way we cook. They don't put all that meat in their cabbage. They don't, have all those 80 different types of meats, on Friday when they done got their paycheck. So they we look at their food and say their food is bland, and it's barely nothing there they're eating. but they're not suffering from those health issues that we're suffering from. Now, we can analyze some diseases that are peculiar to their race, depending on their habits of eating and their habits and their environmental conditions. But if we look at ours, we're suffering from this thing called high blood sugar. Now, our body runs on sugar. But if you listen to the term, it says high blood sugar. Now, the medical people, they call it diabetes. But that's just high blood sugar. When our levels in our blood goes over the threshold of what needs to be there, we get this term called high blood sugar. Now, listen what it says. It's in the blood. You got three words there: high blood sugar. So you got sugar that's high in the blood, or you got blood that got high sugar in there, or there's high sugar in the blood. I don't care how you interchange those words, it's still going to mean the same thing. You got excessive sugar roaming around in your blood. You got too much darn sugar in your blood, and it's not safe. It's threatening. It's threatening to do damage. It's threatening to, shut down organs and tissues and stuff. It's producing illnesses in your body with this excess sugar that cannot escape the blood. Now, because see, the thing about it is our body runs on sugar. But if you notice, it's saying that this sugar is still in the blood. So when you eat a piece of food, this food goes in your mouth, goes down into your stomach, and is broken down into simple material, which one of them is sugar. So now this sugar then is absorbed into the blood. And normally, under the right conditions, it's going to leave the blood and then go into the cell, muscles, and become glycogen, go into the muscles as a reserve for energy, go into the mitochondria and become power for you. These under normal conditions. But if you notice, it didn't call this disease high cell sugar. So it said high blood sugar. Now notice our chain here. You eat food. It didn't say high mouth sugar. So the sugar is not building up in the mouth. You eat the food and it goes to your stomach. It doesn't say high stomach sugar. So, okay, so it's not trapped there. It goes to the blood and it says high blood sugar. So obviously all the sugar that you're putting in your body, it's not going past the blood. It's like it's stuck in the blood. So it's not going to its next stage. Every stage it cleared except for the blood. It's not clearing the blood for some reason. So what's keeping the sugar in the blood and not allowing it to go to its next stage, which is to the cell where it can be used for energy? Notice that most diabetics or high blood sugar issues in people tend to have the person fatigue. They be drained, man. I mean, they just be feeling terrible when they are, when their sugar levels are high, because if they got a bunch of sugar in their body, why they ain't running around like how it would be if you was a baby? If you give a baby a bunch of candy and run her sugar up, she's gonna be flipping all over off your walls. But we see the opposite effect in elderly people or people a little older who got these high, bunch of sugar in their body. They actually become fatigued and down. There's no sugar being sent to the cells to give them energy, because instead of you sending the sugar to the cells, guess what you're doing? You're urinating it out. You're spitting it out. You're draining it out from somewhere, but it's not going to the cells. That excess of sugar, it's in the toilet because or on the floor. I remember They say a lot of guys have the flow sticky, and and they from urinating and have all that sugar in their blood. It be so the urine be, you can smell the sugar in it, and it's sticky all around. The toilet commode be sticky. You see a bunch of bubbles and all type of stuff in the urine. So it's something is stopping the sugar from going from that stage, from the blood, to its next stage, to the cell. Now I can just imagine for a second, and it's been a lot of studies on this, but it made me wonder and how I was able to get rid of my issue with high blood sugar was I cut fat out of my diet. Now, you say, well, what fat has to do with this, and how am I getting fat? And what does have to do with the black community? Well, if you notice, the black community use huge amounts of fat. We get our fat even out of our animals. We actually fry bacon and get the grease out of it, or fat back, or any other lard and different stuff. We use concentrated fats and seasoning up a lot of our foods, our sweet dishes, our savory dishes. Everything got some type of grease in it. If we're not putting sticks and sticks of butter in our desserts, we're frying pounds and pounds of bacon and sausage to put in our vegetables, or whatever other thing that we're cooking. It's got to have some type of fat in there. So our diet is predominantly, you'll say, full of fat, grease, and all type of other stuff like that. Now I know you're saying, what that got to do with high blood sugar? How can fat raise my sugar? Well, the fat and the sugar goes through the same stages. They go in your mouth, they go to your stomach, then go to the blood, and then it's stored somewhere. Maybe processed by the liver. The fat is processed by the liver. But the thing about it is, it takes a while for the liver to process all this fat. It takes hours and hours, if not days, to process the amount of fat that we eat in our diets in the black community. So now this fat is staying in our blood for quite a while until it can be processed. Now, you got to think about fat. Fat coats everything. The fat is going to be taken out of that blood before the sugar, because the sugar can't coat the fat, but the fat can coat the sugar. Now, get what I'm saying? Have you ever cooked rice before? You cook rice, and what you do? You put some fat in there, some butter, some oil, some type of grease. Now, why do you do this? You do this where your rice can fall grain for grain. Now, how is this possible? It does so because that oil, it coats every kernel of that rice, that they won't stick. Just by putting some in that water, it goes there and coat every last rice. Not one is going to stick. You do the same thing with your noodles. When you're boiling noodles, you put a little grease in there, you put a pat of butter in there, and you do so because mom taught you. You do this way the noodles don't stick. Every noodle gonna fall noodle for noodle. So this fat coats, and if it's taking 10 to 15 hours to digest fat out of the blood, that sugar got to stay there for 10 to 15 hours as well, because every granulated speck of sugar is going to be coated by the fat. So that means every molecule of sugar that you done ingested is surrounded by a layer of fat, and that fat got to be digested before that sugar molecule can be digested. And if it's taking 10 to 15 hours for fat to be digested, then that sugar got to stay in your blood for 10 to 15 hours. Now, you're eating every 2 to 3 hours. more sugar, and more fat, and more sugar, and more fat, and more sugar, and more fat, and more. You're doing this every 2 hours. So you're never getting to a point where the sugar can be digested. Only the fat is being digested, but the sugar is never getting a chance to digest. And it's steady just building up. It's building up. It's building up in the blood. Now, a person with a healthy pancreas going to produce extra insulin. It's going to be producing extra insulin. Are they just going to have this burst of energy that caused them to try to burn it off? Something. But you're still going to have to use extra insulin. But even over a period of time, your organ, which is the pancreas, that produces this extra insulin, is going to wear out. It's not going to be able to produce, extra insulin because you don't wore it out producing extra insulin for long periods of time. So now you become insulin deficient. So your body is not making large amounts of insulin anymore because it's tired, it's fatigued, it's been overused, it's been abused. So now the sugar just sitting in the blood, just raising. Now you having pre-diabetes or pre-high blood sugar problem. You start taking in medicine and stuff like that. And you end up with full-blown so-called diabetes. Now you have to take insulin because your pancreas just ain't producing no insulin now because you done wore it out. You have to give it a rest too, just like that. You just can't palm the kidneys or palm the pancreas or anything like that. But everything is being damaged from the excess of sugar. You're urinating excessively. You end up wearing your kidneys out. Cause them to have damage. They're tore up because the sugar is constantly coming through the kidneys, causing candida out throughout your body. This excess of sugar. Now you got rashes and all type of other stuff, bacteria growing in your body because you got this fermentation of sugar flowing through your body. So all this is going on. You have calluses and all type of stuff growing around your feet and all type of different things, all from the excess of sugar. And that's because you eating a high-fat diet. So if we want to get rid of the high blood issue in our community, in our community, we need to get rid of the fat out of our diet. We need to go to a low-fat diet. And if we see what the Atkins diet is doing to a lot of people see that now. If you notice, you don't hear no big thing about it no more. Only the people who haven't heard of it yet or haven't tried it yet are now singing praises. But if you look at anybody who've tried it, they have no praise report to tell you about the keto diet. You might have a little straggling few who don't realize the damage that's been done to their body just yet, but they will see later on what a high-fat diet can do. It's no way we should think. It's like common sense should tell you. You mean to tell me I can eat a bunch of bacon and eggs and I'm gonna lose weight and get healthy? Come on, what? You mean to tell me I can eat a high-fat, greasy diet and I'm going to lose weight and feel great? Now, I'm gonna lose weight, all right, because my body is gonna, you're not feeding your body anything proper. It can't build. And matter of fact, it's gonna start eating off of itself because you're only feeding it grease, and it can't run off of grease. So it's gonna start going to its reserves and start breaking down body structures and stuff in which to fuel itself. Now, this is not ideal. This is what they call ketosis. That's why they call it the keto diet. But when your body go into a state of ketosis, it's not getting rid of toxins and fat. It's getting rid of structure. It's going and taking cellular structure out of your body. You don't want that. You don't want to damage your liver just to lose a couple of pounds. You want your liver to be eaten away, to lose 2 pounds. You want your brain to be eaten away just to lose 2 or 3 pounds. Your heart to be eaten away just to lose a couple of pounds. when the toxins that is the reason for you being overweight is still there. The fact that you need to, downplay is still there. So we have to change our outlook on a lot of the stuff that the medical people are telling us, and these so-called health gurus that we tend to put all our trust in, and we go and follow their hype, and we spend all our money on their concoctions and all type of other things, only to be disgusted at the end, and even more broken down and hurt and damaged in our bodies. When we can take the right approach by just going on a high alkaline diet, a diet that's low in fat. That's what fruits are not high in fat except for certain fruits such as your avocado, your coconut, and your nuts and seeds. They tend to have a high content of fat, but it still ain't as much as when you're eating, straight butter and lard and baking, pans of bacon grease, all that grease you see on top of the macaroni and cheese. All that stuff is not ideal for us to be consuming if we want health. It's good to consume if you want to cause damage and other things in your life, but we want to encourage you to follow a ideal way of health and follow us, Savannah Natural Health, and get into your ideal health. Our show come on every Tuesday at 6:00. Natural is F, and we're always going to tell you the natural approach to it. If you notice, we never tell you to go take this or take that, and we try to bring the truth out about some of this stuff out here that's just not natural, because we want you to take the natural approach. We want you natural as F. We're going to tell you we love you, best of health, and we'll see you next week. We got some great shows coming up, so make sure you stay tuned and share with all your families and friends, and even your enemies. Like I told you, they'll become a friend once they start feeling better. So best of health and happiness.
Like this.